And welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining me. My name is Ameera. I am a Mer healer, which simply means that my soul lineage is of the Mer people, the Mer beings. I am an ambassador and representative of the Mer beings of Atlantis, and part of my soul purpose is to serve as an ambassador between that realm, the realm of the Mer, and the realm of the Atlanteans into this realm. So I am a conduit and a vessel between worlds, right? Because right now we are basically bridging the worlds. We are writing the same spiral of time that we have been on in Atlantis. And I wanted to do this video today because I think a lot of people are wondering, we've just gone through a lot of pretty heavy duty natural disasters and forest fires and, things happening in the world kind of all at once, specifically since the eclipse. And when we go through these cataclysmic events that happen many at a time all at once, that can be really upsetting and disjointing for our feeling of feeling safe and secure in the world. We can wonder what's going on. What's going on with God? Is God mad at us? Is nature mad at us? What are we doing wrong? All these things kind of start going through our heads out of panic and concern and not feeling safe in the world again. So this video is really for me to bring you some information of what I understand about this time right now, and also for those who are present, and thank you everybody who decided to be here and join me. For all of you who are present, and if you're new jumping on, make sure that you are muted for the moment. I'm going to open up for questions and comments as we go on, and then there's also a chat box on your screen where you can put in a question, and I'll see that somebody has posted in, and I'll try do my best to answer questions. Like to keep this as much as an open dialogue format as possible, so your questions and your comments and your thoughts are absolutely welcome, because it's how we learn together. I'm going to bring you what I know and feel to be true about this time. My perspective is certainly not the only perspective or the only truth that's out there, but it is what I know and what I believe, and what I have been given to share with you all to help us all move through this time together, and maybe with a little bit less fear, and to help each other out more than anything, right? And maybe even to understand, what's going on in the world, and what can I do? So I'm going to start just by asking, does anybody have anything specifically you want to ask about as we get started? Anything that's on your mind? Like I said, you can unmute yourself and you can ask me, or you can post it into the chat. Because this is really for you guys. So go ahead.
Hi, Ameera.
Hi, and please announce yourself so I know who I'm talking to.
Okay, this is Grace Rose. How are you?
Hi, Grace. I'm good. It's nice to hear your voice.
Oh, thank you. Well, I wanted to ask, I've been in prayer, and I do my drumming because, my Native American, roots has really, I've always connected with it. So I do my drumming, and I sage, and and I stay in prayer. I stay very close to the earth. I have my gardens, but even with all of that, I'm still feeling anxiety, and the dreaming has been really, really intense and colorful. I've had these dreams that I know, have meaning, and I keep getting these meaningful dreams, but then I keep thinking, okay, it's going to break. I'm going to get through this, and all of a sudden there's going to be a clearing, and I'll feel better, but I don't feel better.
Yeah,
and
no,
I don't
I
feel
get that.
better.
Because it doesn't stop, like the energy doesn't stop. So right now we're kind of at a pause, I think, in some of these things, some of the natural disasters and things that are going on, but the PTSD, like it's alive and well, right? So
Yeah.
you have your tools and you have your ways of communicating with spirit, and drumming is really grounding and a really wonderful way to stay connected to yourself and maybe connected to the earth. But remember also, as you're connecting to the earth doesn't feel safe to you right now. We don't know if the earth is
Oh,
going to
yeah.
be safe.
I
So,
didn't think of that.
so something I've been teaching people for a while, and I don't know if you do this or not, I do not teach people to ground into the earth. I don't teach people to do that because the earth lacks a lot of stability right now. So when we ground into something that doesn't feel stable, we don't get grounded. So what I'm teaching
Mm.
people to do is to ground into your heart, and even ground into your earth star chakra, which is right down beneath your feet, and we have to become our own grounding rods, because the earth is like, I got work to do. I can't really like nurture, I can't really like take care of you people right now. You're going to have to learn to take care of yourselves. Okay, meaning that the earth isn't turning away from us by any means, but she's asking us to become self-responsible and sovereign in our own energy, which means we go into ourselves, and we all have a divine connection and conduit, right? Into our heart
Yeah.
space, into our earth star chakra, make those connections, ground into yourself and ground into the divine, and let what's happening in the earth flow through you, instead of trying to connect down into it, because that will cause you to feel more unstable. Does that make sense?
Oh, that makes perfect
This is
sense.
grown up spirituality. This is like for you
Perfect.
got to grow up and learn to learn this the self responsibility and the sovereignty in our energy within us and around us, because it's really time for us to support the earth in her process. And it's also really important that you guys know the earth ain't angry at us. The earth is not
Yeah.
mad. That is not true. So if you think Mother Nature is angry and rebelling, that's not true. My belief is that God and nature are neutral, and that nature is a reflection of us and our consciousness and how we choose to learn and grow and evolve as a collective.
Good.
Okay?
Got it. Got it.
Okay? The earth is not pissed off at us. As a collective, we have chosen kind of a hard route, the route of going in and experiencing these really extreme natural events in order to help us to understand maybe what's most important. And you might be thinking, well, I know what's most important. I didn't choose that. I take care of the earth, or, I'm energetically responsible. We all chose it. We're all part of the collective. And no matter how spiritual or evolved we think we are part of the collective mind. And so how I am learning to deal and surrender into this is to remember that I am part of that collective vibration that chose to experience something through extremes. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And
It does.
we are riding the same spiral of time that we did as Atlanteans. And if you're not real familiar with Atlantis, I'll just give you a brief history. Atlantis rose and fell at least 3 times. Atlantis was an experiment. It was an experiment by the Creator, who created with us, those of us who chose to come down to Earth, to see if we as 5th dimensional and above beings could maintain our vibration and connection to God, that 5th dimensional connection, where all is spirit, in a 3rd dimensional body. So we chose to come down to this beautiful, beautiful place, Earth, right? In a body that was 5 sensory oriented. and see if we could maintain our unity, our high consciousness, and our connection to spirit, but while living life through the physical realm. It was an experiment. And those of us who came to participate knew that it might not work out, meaning that we knew that we might get lost in physical and carnal pleasures and forget or lose our divine connection in the way that we had it before we incarnated into human form. We also knew that at some point, God, Spirit, the Creator, was going to let in the dark forces and the dark energies to try and test us and to try and test our egos. And we agreed to all of this, for one, because we're explorers, right? We're creators. We wanted to do something very new and different. For all of us, it was our first time in a human form, and human forms were exciting to us because it's only the gift of a human body that we can, eat delicious food and make love and feel water in our hands and hug our children and smell a flower. It's in these amazing human forms that we have that we get to have the 5 sensory experience. So of course we wanted to do it, right? We knew that there was a chance that the experiment might not work out, and that the darkness that was going to be allowed to let in to test us might cause us to fall into lesser or a disconnection between us and spirit. So that's what began to happen. So we knew all this before we came in, and as the dark element and as the lower vibrations entered our realm and entered our bodies, right, and started to create these different cataclysmic events and different situations that weren't so high vibrational, like technology becoming more important than people, like genetic testing on humans and animals, like material world becoming more important than the spiritual world. And if that sounds familiar, and you guys go ahead and mute your microphones if you've got some background stuff. Okay, that's precisely what's happening today, right?
Yeah.
When we were Atlanteans, we were told that when the time came to let Atlantis go, that we should release it and let it go. Because before we came, we realized we were spirit and we were eternal. We knew that when we came to Earth and we started forming human attachments, because that's what we do. We're human. We become attached to things and people. We get attached to each other. We get very attached to life. As it became apparent that the experiment, and I'm not going to use the word fail because that's not right. Atlantis was actually an amazing, amazing success. It was not a failure. And what happened in Atlantis was not a result of some kind of a failure. It was just the progression of events that happened during an experiment. So if you've been told the mistruth that Atlantis was this great big failure, that's actually not true. Atlantis was a success. We have been told the story of failure in our humanness, just like we've been told the story of being, sinners and wretched sinners. It's been a story that has been given to us to suppress our ability to know ourselves as divine and to seek unconditional love and to really know ourselves as unconditional love and give and receive that to each other. Okay, it's been a story. When Atlantis started to go down, there was a feeling of great loss and failure that happened in the community, and we forgot that it was an experiment and that it was okay to let Atlantis go because we are eternal beings and because the nature of God and life is create, destroy, recreate. called creative destruction. Creative destruction is the nature of God and life. There is nothing that happens on this earth that is not a part of creative destruction, right? There's creation,
No.
there's destruction, and there's recreation. And we forgot that. And we fought to hold on to something that was trying to be destroyed so something new could be birthed. So flash forward to this time and space here on this spiral of Atlantis being relived. What we are experiencing is a similar creative destruction, only this time the experiment's a little different. Instead of us destroying and losing our bodies, we are going through what's called ascension, which means that we are dying to our lower selves and we're dying to our lower nature to rise again, to ascend back into our higher nature, taking our bodies with us in this ascension process. We're not going back into spirit. We're going back into spiritual beings in an evolved human form. And in order to be able to do that, the structures, the paradigms, these things that are in place that are not of that vibration the collective wants to return to are falling down. Which means that, of course, we're going to see a lot of natural disasters and things that are happening that are reshaping the earth, right? And things that are happening that are even probably going to take some lives. Maybe eventually quite a few lives. Every soul has contract with God of what will happen with their physical body. Okay, we all have a contract. Most of us don't know what that contract is, which is kind of a bummer, right? So, okay, so I just want to pause right now for questions, like for anything that I've said, comments or questions or insights. Chat box, or you guys unmute yourself and go. Nothing? Should I go ahead and go on?
Well, I have a comment, and I follow all of what you're saying, and as we are raising our vibration, and it feels like time doesn't make any sense. Like 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock could be transposed as I could be experiencing 3 o'clock before I experience 2 o'clock, which
it's
that's
time,
what I'm.
No time.
And I've always had, the time where I go to sleep and I wake up, and in all of my timing is gone. So I'm trying to, and I have now, and I'm blessed because I do have my own company. Mm-hmm. So that means I don't have to go in when everybody else has to go in. I don't have to, so I do this whole, morning thing where I spend a lot of time just praying, and then I don't get into doing anything till 11 o'clock. And it seems like 11 o'clock is my new 8.
Yeah, and so what's happening is you're following your body's, the natural rhythm of your body is changing. And you need, your body and your spirit need that time in the morning that's your therapy. That's your self-therapy. And really there's a teaching out there, I think it's Chinese medicine, I could be wrong, that says that our prime creative time is between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. Like that's our prime creative time. So the time before that, for me, I go work out in the morning. And I don't want to do anything work-wise, brain-wise, I'm not really ready for anything until I've had my workout, I've had my breakfast, I dink around on Facebook, and about 10 o'clock, I'm ready to settle in and be creative and get things done. So what your body is doing is just helping you to fall into a natural cycle or rhythm that's most conducive to how you're most creative and productive. we got to get rid of the 8 to 5 thing. Some of us have to be in jobs that cause us to be in the 8 to 5 thing. But this energy and this time, the new paradigm is about doing what works for you as an individual, right? Getting your spiritual therapy, whatever that might be, like having the time and space to allow that to happen, not worrying about what the clock says, and getting over that old programming of, we got to show up by 8 or 9, we got to put in 8 hours work. That doesn't work for us anymore. It didn't feel natural. So our bodies through this process are developing our own unique rhythms. That makes sense?
It makes perfect sense. It's just like, but this reboot, or whatever you want to call it, this realignment, I'm so used to pushing myself, like, okay,
yeah,
I can get this done in 6 weeks, or okay, let's just stop with this 10 o'clock, in 2 weeks, I'll go back. It's not happening. It's just like, I can't, it's not going to happen. Every time I try to go back to something that's the old, it doesn't work.
Well,
and I have to wait.
So what's that telling you? It's not working.
So it's not working. So I have to be really like, what is it called?
Disciplined.
Confirm, and this is what I'm doing with you, is confirming that this dimension is not the dimension of last year or the year before.
Yep.
It's a different dimension.
Yep.
And I have to just accept it totally. And I sometimes do, and then sometimes I pull back and I say, well, it's not.
I don't even know if it's accepting. I think it's allowing. Which is a much kinder word than accepting.
Yeah. You're right.
Allow it, because that's compassionate to you.
And I'm happy. I'm happy in my new time, and I can't really, and it's, we can't, and all of us that are together right now in this forum, I think all of us are probably experiencing the same thing, and in a way, it's really not. It's almost like a very personal thing where I don't talk about it to anybody that, my timing is all wrong. But my timing's different, but when I sort of share things, what I'm finding is everyone is going through this.
Yeah, you know what, you guys, and I think that's a really important point. There's a lot of people, like, you all have a degree of awakening because you're here and we're having this conversation. There are a lot of people who are going through the shift. They have no clue what's happening. They don't know what's happening to them. And it's frightening to be in the midst of all these changes, the physical changes and the interior changes, and not have like an identification or frame of reference to know what to do with it. So we as maybe awakened beings, the more you are brave enough to talk about this to your friends, your colleagues, your family, you're gonna find that there are other people who are starting to wake up and to feel it, and they don't have anybody to talk to, and they don't have answers. So please be brave in that. And it'll give you also validation, just like we're doing now, that you're not crazy, that there really is something important going on inside of you, a recalibration that you're being asked to allow in. Somebody wanted to know if there was a book on Atlantis available. I really like Lucy Kandevish is the author. She has a book called The Lost Lands, and it is a book, it's a channeled book of Lemuria, Atlantis, and Avalon. If you want to just start with something super basic, easy to understand and read, and a really good read, that's a great place to start to understanding all three of these eras, because Lemuria, Atlantis, and Avalon are really all layers of each other. They're all very tied in. They're very tied in together. So yeah, there's that. So the creative destruction, we're in the midst of the creative destruction. Prayer, of course, always good, always helpful. But please realize that some of these things that are happening are contracted. Those lands and those people are contracted between them and God to have this happen. When I pray, I ask for the most highest and most benevolent outcome for all. There is probably not, in the next 7 years or so, we have another eclipse in 7 years, there is probably not a piece of land on this earth that won't be affected in some kind of way. So this really is like a great equalizer as far as we're all in the game. I don't want to tell you that nobody's safe, because that's not true. You need to know that you are safe. You need to know that you will never be where you're not supposed to. And you will be exactly where you are supposed to be. Okay? There's no place that God is not within this. God is within all of us and in all of this. When Saturn hits Capricorn in December, and Saturn is spiritual teacher, and Capricorn is our practical way of life, I believe, and a lot of astrologers are talking about how we're going to see a lot of changes in our financial and our corporate structures. And we all know, you guys, this stuff has got to change. It's got to come down. This whole Equifax thing that just happened, I believe it's a sign or a symptom that the credit system that we have in place sucks and that it needs to come down, because it's not fair and it's not just and it's not righteous, right? So what's fair and not fair, just, or righteous, what is not in integrity, has to come down so we can create something new out of it, right? Integrity within ourselves and righteousness within ourselves is going to become very, very important. Your own self-integrity, whatever that means to you, your own righteousness between you and God. You will find that you will be looking deeply into your own souls. A lot of us are in prayer mode all the time, right? The more we get right in our own self-integrity, the more that will ripple effect out into the collective as well, because integrity is not where this planet has been. Like, the structures in this planet are really outside of integrity, but the macro is always a reflection of the micro. We change from the inside. We change these structures from the inside out. Okay, that's how we do it. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Anybody have any questions or comments on anything?
Wow, since the fall of law 1, it happened.
Say it again, honey.
Since the fall of law 1 and the control of thought and balance, then it happened. And that's the reverse.
We are recreating and we're healing the spiral of Atlantis from the last, I'm talking about the last fall of Atlantis, about 13,000 years ago, known as the Golden Age. Okay? In this situation, Atlantis, Earth, your continent, whatever it is, we're not talking about full and total destruction and being wiped out. We're talking about the people coming together and remembering that we are eternal, and remembering that it's okay to let go of what's not working anymore, because this is how we recreate new paradigm. So as we're going through some of these really intense earth changes, and it's really easy to feel afraid, okay, remember you guys, we came here for this. You, me, all of us, we came here to bear witness to the rebirthing of the earth. This is what we've been training our whole lives for. This is it, this time. So you guys, please don't blank out on me now. I need you. The world needs you. The world needs your strength and your courage to see the planet and to see the people and the animals of this planet through the transition. This is what we've been waiting for our entire lives. This is why we came. This is why we came. How does it feel when I say that?
It feels It feels like, yeah, I agree with you. I have been working towards this all my life. You know, this is great.
You guys, lifetimes. We've been working towards this.
Studied, prayed, and I've always had this sort of a different, you know, I mean, at the age of 16, I knew I didn't want to have children because I said I can't have children for what I'm going to go through. And I didn't know what I was going to go through.
Yeah.
I just knew I had to go through a lot. And I could not,
you couldn't do your job and have kids at the same time.
Exactly.
Because you're so called into your mission.
Yeah, I was like born into a mission. And this is, I should relax into it, like you said, be more benevolent. And I'm not fearful. And I do bring it up to people, you know, where I ask them how they're doing, and they do. That's how I'm starting to hear all that, you know. And no one feels grounded. Everyone feels like their time is changing. Everyone feels like, and as we talk about it, and sometimes I just share some of the things like what you tell me, you know.
Yeah.
And what Susan says, and you know, and I'll share things that I'm reading, and they feel so much more comfortable. And so people are calling me sometimes and saying, nobody understands what I'm going through, but you do. And then they'll start talking.
And you get to be in a safe and sacred space for them to walk with them through the uncertainty.
And and I listen, and I'm listening, and I'm saying, okay. And I've been told that, you know, as I've met with other people that are psychics or whatever, I can see. So sometimes and now it's even more than ever, like sometimes I just have to shut it off. Like I can read a person so fast, and I know it's not judgment. It's just like, they're going through a really hard time.
Yeah, you
just sort of know. And so I have to like shut that off because it can be very draining.
Right.
And I have to, and I've learned to put, you know, the bubble around me. I've learned to, and I've listened to you guys, and you've helped me so much. You and Susan and Darlene. Is it Darlene?
Darling, yeah.
And Darlene, about, you know, empaths and all of that, and all of us, you know, all of us that are listening to you are shifting into a higher consciousness. I mean, we've been in a high consciousness, but we're shifting, and it's shifting, and so, you know, I've studied the stones to make sure that, and what's so funny is I've been saying, you know, and today I found it. I've been going, well, you know, I used to have this lava egg.
Yeah.
And where is that lava? And today it just showed up because I need to be grounded sometimes, where I get, you know, out there where I'm seeing too much. Like the dream is too high. The you know, like I can assess a moment so fast, and so those things I want to keep, you know, I'm saying, okay, you've got to just like, I don't want to say slow down. It's more like it's more like I have this other energy, so I have to learn how to work with it. It's almost like I'm an apprentice. I'm an apprentice at a different level. Like you're telling me, don't drum to connect. And I've been drumming to connect, and I've been crying a lot.
Yeah.
So thank you. That's all I want to say.
You're welcome, honey. I want to thank you, Justin. Justin posted about another Atlantis book, if you'd like an Atlantis book. And then I saw a note from Chris and Tony, and they want to know about soul contracts. So I'm not exactly sure what you guys want to know about that. You know, we're all aware that we have contracts and agreements with other beings. My belief is that karmic contracts, for the most part, are complete, and that we are moving into dharmic contracts, which are contracts that are of service, which doesn't mean that if you're in a karmic relationship that necessarily you're done with that, or some of us are still in karmic contracts. What I mean by we're out of karma is that the agreements that we came in with are different now. Most of them don't exist anymore. It's by choice to stay. And if you're with somebody because you feel that agreement, like you feel contracted to them, but it doesn't feel good to you. It doesn't feel like a benevolent relationship. You have the ability to let that agreement go, or to work to change that agreement or that contract to something that is dharmic if it feels like it benefits you. So, Chris, I don't know if that was what you guys were looking for or not. I believe that soul agreements are changing and transforming to where we get to be in our dharma with people and learn things very, very quickly through being of service to each other's soul, instead of having to experience all these really extreme lessons. And you guys, if you want to comment or ask me more about that, that's fine too. Yeah, what else do you guys want to know? Want to talk a little bit more about Atlantis? We are all there, all of us. I believe everybody on this planet has had at least one lifetime, maybe more, as an Atlantean. Atlantis was a utopian society. It was a society that was based on the 7 karmic laws or karmic agreements about righteousness, truth, integrity, compassion, okay, and justice and equality for all. That was Atlantis. Atlantis was built on the principles of sacred geometry. Everything on Atlantis was made or comprised of perfect geometry, okay? That's how we kept the symmetry and the vibration high in Atlantis. Even the gardens were planted in flower of life configurations. Okay? The Mer people, my people, worked very closely with the Atlanteans. We work with them in the temples. We would shapeshift and come up out of the water. We worked with them to help them understand moon cycles and earth cycles and honoring the land. Okay, we brought spirituality that was conducive to them living harmoniously with the planet, because they weren't used to that, because the beings who came were from the stars. Okay, so that was, we were a sister community to them under the ocean, Merlantis. And we loved the humans, we loved the Atlanteans. That whole thing about, Ariel wanting to become human because she wanted to be where the people were, that's exactly right. We loved it when we got to shapeshift and grow our legs and walk among and be with the humans. And then we would go back into the water, right? Because that was our home. We couldn't hold that shapeshift for more than about 12 hours. Okay, and we would come back and forth, and we helped them build the community. And when Atlantis started to crumble, we were devastated. The Mer were devastated. And we worked feverishly and furiously with the priests and priestesses and with the temples to help maintain and correct the imbalances, because we really wanted Atlantis and the humans to stay. So as the creative destruction began to happen, it affected us very, very deeply, because we loved humans. And many of us stayed in the temples even during the fall, like to the bitter end, and lost our own lives trying to stay with them. Merlantis was not affected by the dark element like Atlantis was. We were sovereign under the sea, okay? But as we heard the cries and the screams of the people we loved as Atlantis came down, it affected our souls very, very deeply, because we are intertwined with you. So I came back, and many of us came back as Mer into human form. And many of us who were priests and priestesses and royalty in Atlantis have returned to revive, reconstruct, and heal the spiral of time that we are all on together during this time. So if you have soul recognition, and somebody before we started said he recognized me, maybe energetically, maybe it was back in Atlantis. You will recognize people energetically that you've been closely connected with during that time. And we all have soul agreements to come back to help each other and return this earth, to see this earth through this evolutionary process. I consider it a great pleasure and a great honor to be here and to help with this transition. I believe the Hawaiian Islands are safe. I'm on Kauai. I believe that they're safe and protected because I believe that they are important for the reconstruction that's going to ultimately take place, but I don't really know for sure. So none of us are really outside of becoming affected. And the best thing that we can do right now, do things that keep your vibration high. Do things that bring you joy. Do things that help you to feel connected to the people around you and connected to your passions. As these events start to unfold, sometimes there's a little bit of a propensity to feel guilty if we're enjoying life while other people are suffering. So I want to tell you that if you have guilt to feel joy while others in the world suffer, the best thing that you can do is raise your own vibration, stay connected to joy, because that ripple effects out and that counterbalances much of this energy that's happening. Okay, does that make sense? Extend your compassion, help people where you can. But realize that you're going into suffering and deciding to suffer because another community or another state or another area is suffering is not going to help them. Not going to help them. You're doing whatever you can to help that community. If you time, money, energy, if that's what you want to do, your prayers. But the best way you can keep the vibrations on this planet high is to take care of your own self. Okay? Care for yourself. Be in your self-integrity. Do what brings you joy. Do what makes you feel passionate and alive and gives you a reason to live. Find new ways to be creative and inventive for helping the planet. There will be many people who will have to decide to go into other lines of work because maybe their jobs aren't going to be available to them anymore. Or maybe they've had a financial or a home loss through these situations. So people are going to have to start getting really creative on how to take care of themselves. Many of the old paradigm beliefs and structures and careers and things that we are living within now are going to start to fall away, which will cause people to become creative and follow their passions to sustain themselves, which is a good thing, right? Anybody have any questions or any comments on that? And Susie, I see your comment here of how do you know? I'm not sure what you're asking about, honey. So be more specific if you can. I absolutely have to believe that this is all part of a divine plan and that God is in it all. Because if I don't believe that, then what's the use? Then I have nothing, right? We have nothing. So as you go through your soul searching and as you go through some of the, the heartache and the emotions that come along with which watching some of these things or being involved in some of these things that go down, and a lot of us have kids and pets and parents and loved ones who are being affected. Every soul has its own unique contract with this planet and with God. You have your own unique soul contract. Please be in a state of allowing for whatever is to unfold in each individual's life. However, there's a lot of people who are going to get to grow from these incidences. They're going to get to evolve really, really fast because they're going to have to. That's going to be a good thing, right? We all have our own ways of growing spiritually and fulfilling our purposes. And sometimes those ways don't feel very pleasant or very good. And sometimes it's hard to watch in other people. So try to be in an honoring of yourself, whatever process you personally are going through. Understand that a lot of people right now are in a very kind of strange and unfamiliar place. Try not to take things personally from other people, right? Try not to make assumptions or take things personally if people aren't showing up in your life for you the way that you're used to or the way that you need, because I'm telling you, people are really going through their own individual shit right now, and we need to allow each other a lot of grace and extend a lot of grace to yourself and extend a lot of grace to to one another, as we individually and collectively really try to wrap our minds around the mega transformations that are happening through the creative destruction. So I'm just looking at the notes. Are we all from Atlantis? Yes, I believe every person on the planet has had a lifetime or more on Atlantis, and that's why we're back. That's what I believe. And so a lot of the kind of trauma that's in ourselves and the feeling that's in ourselves is kind of familiar in a way, because we've been through this before, right? Different outcome this time. Going to be a different outcome this time. And one of the keys to creating a different outcome is remembering that it's okay to let go. It's okay to let go and let the structures and some of the land masses and the people and the situations go so a new can be birthed. We can't create something on top of something that's still there. We have to let it fall, let the structures fall first, and then recreate it. We are eternal beings, right? And everything that's ever happened in the history of the planet or the universe of the world, you guys know it's already happened. We're basically just living in a memory, right? A memory that has many, many possibilities and potentials. It's all already happened because time's not linear. There's no past, present, future. Everything's now. Everything is happening right now, okay? It's already been written. How you experience many of the earth changes is going to be largely based on your perception of what's happening. Okay? Your perception is going to create the reality and the lens through which you move through these earth changes. You're the creator. You get control, if there is such a thing as control. You get to control yourself. You get to control yourself. That's really the only thing we have is control of ourselves. We don't have control over most exterior situations or circumstances, but we do have control over our emotions and over our own reactions. Anybody have any reflections or thoughts on that? I am going to do a special offering for the rest of the month of September. If you would like to do some personal work with me, I'm a advanced regression therapist. Among many other things, I help people go into other realms and explore their other aspects of their being, past lives, some call it, to understand what's happening with that within them in this reality, because our other aspects and lifetimes are all often working their way into this lifetime. I'm an intuitive counselor. I do mentoring. Anyway, I'm going to offer 30% off of everything for the rest of this month. If you would like to book some time with me, we can meet like this. And if you need some help and some guidance through anything you're going through or anything you feel like is coming up for you, you can go to my website, ameerabeth.com, and or actually reach out to me personally. I'm going to take that back because I haven't changed anything on my website yet. Reach out to me personally on Facebook or email ameera@ameerabeth.com, and we'll get together and we'll get you scheduled in. It's important for me to be able to support you if you feel called to have me help you out. I wanted to do this webinar today to get something out to the collective, to help people, help answer questions, find solutions, and help ease people's minds and hearts and bodies for what's happening with our planet right now. I hope that this has helped you. If you want to send me a Facebook note or email me about this conversation, this dialogue, if you have anything, other reflections, feel free to do that. I'm always happy to, to communicate and to dialogue with anybody if needed. And I think that's about all I've got, everyone, unless anybody has anything else to share real quick.
Real quick, I'm hearing other people saying that the world and the general populace is moving through a particular cloud that that the planet only goes through every 26,000 years.
Yeah.
And it's a possibility of an ascension shift.
Yeah.
Or a paradigm shift from 3D to 4D.
Yeah. That's what's happening. That's what's happening. Yep. We are going through the ascension shift. We are full along in it. 2012, you guys all remember that? That was supposed to be the big gateway, and I guess it was. But really, it feels to me like that eclipse that we had a few weeks ago, like that was the eye of the needle for some of the most important and potent changes in our planet, in our evolution, and in our ascension experience that's been available to us. The universe is always conspiring to help us. I also believe that God and nature are conspiring to help us. And again, your lens, your perception, and your own self-integrity and ability to hear your own inner voice and hear the messages of spirit and be in trust is going to be very telling in how you move through these changes.
Another thing, what happened in 2012 did happen. What happened was it was the electromagnetic grid came down, the new crystalline grid came up, powered by the Atlantean power crystals.
Right. Yep. A lot of people were expecting, 3 days of darkness and all these really severe physical changes to happen in that moment, which really didn't, thank God. We've been kind of working our way up to that, to those really physical changes. But yeah, you're right. That is when everything came online.
And another thing, what everybody is finding as Atlantis is not actually Atlantis. There were Atlantean colonies or port cities.
Yeah.
That were of Atlantean nature, and there is a port city in Antarctica, but
yes,
Antarctica is not Atlantis itself.
Well, you're right. I think some of these earth changes in the global warming, they are going to probably eventually expose some land masses and some colonies and civilizations that we didn't know were there, or that we've only heard were there, and they're going to be exposed. Some of these earth changes will expose different things on the planet that we have not been able to go to or observe physically yet. So again, perception, I believe that'll be a good thing. Okay, I believe humanity is going to go through another huge awakening by some of these things that have been looked at as legends or myths when they see that they're real. There's going to be a huge awakening through that.
Ameera Beth, I have just something that kicks around sometimes. Where I've read about, and I mean, I don't know where to put it, but these have you picked, I mean, what do you know about this myth of reptilians?
Well, I don't think it's a myth. I don't think it's a myth. There is there are reptilian races, Anunnaki, they're often called, that have been the controllers of our planet and our consciousness and our DNA for a very long time. And that's a whole nother probably webinar to get into. But they are in the bloodlines of our world leaders and our religious leaders and our pharmaceutical corporations. Okay, so it's a real thing. And that's go ahead.
When I meditate on it, and when I look at certain things, and yes, I see it, but I've been thinking, but like what? So these guys, is this part of the creative destruction?
Well, part of the creative destruction is the exposure of them.
Okay.
It's part of that which has been hidden coming into radical transparency.
Were they around during Atlantis?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. They were part of the dark that entered at that time and changed Atlantis. Yeah. Like I said, we could go into a whole nother day long conversation about all of that. Just know now that we've reached the subject that this is a time of lower vibrational energies and entities being outed, being exposed, and eventually or ultimately being kicked off the planet or off the vibration that we are attempting to move towards, because that energy, that vibration can't maintain. It's not compatible with where we're going. That's
Yay!
Yay, right? Yeah. Yeah. Well, we're at about the hour mark, so I think that we'll close out this webinar by thanking all of you for participating and listening to me. And as I said, this video will be up on YouTube. It'll probably be tomorrow. It'll be on my YouTube channel, Ameera Beth, and it'll also be on my Facebook page. And so if you feel to send it to anybody, or share it, that's always wonderful. Please remember, I'm offering 30% off of all my services. AmeeraBeth.com is where you can find me or reach out to me personally. If I can support you and help you in any way, be more than happy to do so. And again, if you want to reach out to me via Facebook and just kind of like chat up anything that we spoke about today, if you've got any thoughts or concerns or questions running through your mind, I'm going to go out and jump in the ocean right after this. So the conversation might not happen today, but certainly over the weekend we can communicate. I'm sending you peace and aloha from Kauai, and hope that you all have a beautiful rest of your weekend, okay? Aloha.
Have fun in the ocean.
Thanks, Dustin. I will. I'll find your friend invite too, and I'll answer that.
All right.
Aloha.